Family of Abraham, father of Abraham, father of the prophets. Okay, so this is title of Abraham. He is father of the prophets. Chapter 6, verses 83 to 89. Chapter 12, verse 6. Chapter 12, verses 37, 38. Chapter 57, verse 26. We don't call God the Father, but Christians do that, right? Forefather of the believers. Chapter 22, verse 78. Submission. Chapter 2, verses 132 and 33. Chapter 3, verses 67, 68. Chapter 22, verse 78. Shattering idols. Chapter 21, verse 58. Chapter 37, verses 91 to 93. Then Ismail his son, with also see sacred house. My dear father, endearment of Ismail to Abraham. Chapter 37, verse 102. Willingness to sacrifice his son. 37, verses 100, 100 to 111. Way down we read, tender-hearted, forbearing, ever penitent, a nation unto himself. Okay, and there's more. Religion of calling his people to worship one God. So of course all the prophets, that was their religion, right? Calling to the worship of the one true God. Obligation to believe in God and his revelations. Chapter 2, verse 136. Chapter 3, verse 84. Rejecting worship of cosmic phenomena. Chapter 6, verses 75 to 79. Of course, also renunciation of associates in divinity with God. Shattering idols, submission to God, literally, quote-unquote, Islam. Okay, that's here. Islam is submission to God. Sacred house of Abraham. And in chapter 2 and chapter 3, raising its foundations, chapter 2, chapter 14, chapter 22. There are different specific verses there. Station of Abraham, near the sacred house. Chapter 2, 125, chapter 3, 96 to 97. See, it's outside of where you it's outside of the actual Kaaba. So it's in the vicinity. You can see it. Sacred way of Abraham. But there is in the Sirah of the Prophet, mentions, I could find that, speaking about when the Kaaba was rebuilt, that it used to be more rectangular, and now when we see it afterwards, when it was built, it was a more square building. It is not a complete cube. You still see it is a little bit by a couple of meters, I think, longer than it is on two sides. It's less wide, and on two sides it's longer. Okay. The Arabs, if they had wanted to make it a cube, they could have done that. It's not that difficult to measure four sides that are equal, right? So there's nothing Islam, worshipping a cube. Okay, it does not have to be a perfect cube shape or anything. Okay. So we're trying to find where Abraham asks God for a sign, so he could be more firm in faith. He wanted to know how God brings back the dead life. Okay, here it is. Miracles. Fire cooling by God's command when Abraham was cast into it. Okay. Chapter 21, chapter 29, and chapter 37. Witness as to how God gives life to 4 dead birds. Okay, chapter 2, verse 260. So I'll read this. The reason I want to read this is because someone on YouTube said that this is torture porn. Okay. Go back again. I should have kept the page right. Maybe you guys heard me? I mentioned the impact page and looking at just a little bit. 260. Okay. Close there. Okay, so 260 is a little bit long. And behold, Abraham said, My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. God said, Do you not believe? Abraham said, I do indeed, but it is only that my heart may be fully assured. He said, Take then 4 varied types of birds, and draw them to you. Then set on each mountain top a dismembered part of them. Then call them, they shall come rushing to you, and know then with certainty that God is indeed overpowering all wise. So that's it. That's the entire short story of that incident, or what should we call it? So it seems that because it's different kinds of birds, that a part of each bird, which would be different, would be made into one bird, and that would come flying to him. Okay, so basically it says, he said, Take then 4 varied types of birds, and draw them to you. Then set on each mountaintop a dismembered part of them, then call them. They shall come rushing to you, and know then with certainty that God is indeed overpowering all wise. That's it. So someone says that this is torture porn. Allah gives them these miracles, not only as signs for the people, but as signs for themselves, right? Assurance, like a kind of reassurance, that they are on the right path and so on. It's not very much there to be, titillated about or anything. Okay, it's just not. That's not a fair accusation, right, against these verses. That's my opinion. Okay, and this person said that, he goes laughing about so many things about Christians and about vegans and how they're a bunch of sissies. Vegans are a bunch of little crybabies. But then in his video, when he's talking about these verses in the Quran, he tells vegans, get on it. This is torture porn. Ooh. So that's just not a fair judgment, in my opinion, right? Okay. And when God says to him, take then 4 varied types of birds and draw them to you, it doesn't even mention him actually doing anything. It just says, take a part of each bird afterwards, dismembered part of them. Okay, that's in the translation, dismembered part. That's what we're to understand. How it is in Arabic, let me see. قال فخذ أربعة من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم أجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا. So it says take a part of each one, a juz'an. It's like a part of each one, minhunna, of them. In some other translations it will be a bit different. Right? It doesn't sound as scary or scientific. Dismembered. And there's no torture there. Doesn't mean Abraham tortured the birds. First he killed them and then he cut them, okay, into pieces. Just killing an animal is not torture. Right? People kill animals for food. That's not torture. It's actually quite humane compared to the way that other animals kill each other. Right? So I saw this video. It just happened last night. I saw a video my daughter showed me. Someone sent her, where 2 dogs are basically trying to tear apart a fox. And I don't know why that's up on YouTube. It should be, stuff like that should be banned. It's totally cruel. The guy, he could just shoot the fox if he doesn't like it, if he doesn't want it on his farm. It seems like he has some chicken coops or something. And you can see these small buildings there. I'm sure that they have chickens or hens, something like that, hens. He sticks his dogs, his 2 black dogs, I think brown dogs, on this fox. I know foxes cause problems for some people, but then you could just, try to trap them or shoot them. Because he tries to call them off after, and the fox is still moving, and then the fox basically looks like a rag doll. And cold and everything. I didn't watch the entire video. It was, there are people that get a kick out of that kind of thing. So these verses compared to that, it's nothing, And that person that YouTuber telling vegans to get on it when he doesn't even like vegans himself. Yeah, I've seen other videos, just his titles in his videos. That's what he does. He does reactions about what other people say. Other people's comments. He does reactions to those. Okay, so that's what I want to say today.